All right, give us a minute. We're having mic issues. All right, we're good. Thank you, Nat. Today's service continues our exploration of December's Soul Matter theme, Opening to Joy. You may have joined us last week. You may have gotten a little taste of joy. I would like to remind you that joy is vitally important. It's good to watch for it, to notice it, to revel in it whenever you can. And we all know that life isn't always easy and contains many other sorts of feelings and experiences. So today we're going to explore the possibility that making space or holding space for all the parts of our lives might help us to find blessings and peace in all the places in our world and all the experiences of our lives. This is perhaps a good time to remind you, oh, look, there's a shot of our fellowship hall set up for the kids. I'd like to remind you now that if you have pastoral needs, if you need someone to talk to, I would love to talk with you. And you can reach me at the email address that I hope is about to be on the screen. And that is Rev Denise at gnuuc.org. There it is on your screen. Thank you, Jesse. Since today we are looking for joy and blessings in the dark, I'd like to open our service with a poem of blessing written by Jan Richardson. It's entitled, What Fire Comes to Sing in You. This blessing had big ideas about what it wanted to say, what it wanted you to know and to see. This blessing wanted to open your eyes to the joy that lives in such strange company with sorrow, wanted to make sure to tell you, lest you forget, that no matter how long it seems absent, no matter how quiet it becomes, joy has never been far from you, holding a space of celebration, watching for you, humming as it keeps vigil. But now that it comes time to speak it, comes time to lay these words on your brow, your beating heart, all this blessing can think to say is, look, your life a candle, this day a match. Strike it and see what blazes, what fire comes to sing in you. Let us gather, as we always do, by lighting the chalice that symbolizes the warmth and power of our being together. Jane and Sandy, will you do the honors, please?
Look, our life together a candle, this day a match. Strike it and see what fire comes to sing in us. Our covenant brings to mind the warmth, wisdom, and truth of our congregation. If you would, please read it with me. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world.
Thank you, Jane. Our opening hymn is number 1012, When I Am Frightened. It's offered by the First Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hunterdon County, New Jersey. And if you are joining us online, I invite you to sing along with this hymn. If you are in the sanctuary, you have to make a choice. Well, of course, you're always free to just enjoy the music. But if you want to vocalize something, we're not singing together here because of the pandemic, but you may want to speak the words, which will be, the video is captioned, or to hum the tune, which may be familiar to some of you. So you can choose which one of those. And I hope all of you, whether here or on Zoom or YouTube, will join us in this hymn.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me, sing to me quietly? Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me, stand by me willingly? Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me, comfort me tenderly? Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Start over.
Do what?
Start over.
Okay. Our story is called The Shadow Elephant. It's by Nadine Robert and Valerio Badali. Some said the elephant was gloomy. Some said he was trying to hide his sadness. Some said he preferred the shadows. The animals of the savannah wanted to find a way to cheer the elephant up. Perhaps if they told him a funny story. The monkey threw himself into it and told the funniest joke he knew. The one about the banana stuck in an ear. It was so silly. It got laughs every time. Not a smile, not a sound. The elephant listened attentively, but remained in the shadows. Next, the ostrich sisters gave it a try. They performed a dance they had invented called the swing can-can. The way they tensed their faces and twisted their necks was hilarious. But the elephant watched them without so much as a twitch and remained in the shadows. Seeing that the elephant did not feel like laughing, the crocodile thought a treat might perk him up. He brought him a bowl full of young acacia leaves, his favorite. But that did not work either. The elephant blinked his eyes, sighed through his trunk, and remained in the shadows. A small mouse who was scurrying by stopped. Out of breath, she asked the elephant, "Can I rest here next to you?" You're not here to tell me a story? No, I'd just like to sit here for a moment. You're not here to change my mind? No, but if you'd really like to know, I've walked all day trying to find a golden key that belongs to my sister. It's the most precious thing she owns. I took the key without asking and then lost it while playing in the savannah. I've searched and walked and searched some more. I've wandered so far that now I'm lost. I'm afraid that I'll never find the key, nor my way home. The elephant sighed, gave a little hiccup, and started to cry. He cried silently, a flood of tears, like he might never stop. Seeing him, the mouse started to cry too. Drained of his tears and feeling much better, the elephant took one step, then another, and emerged from the shadows. He walked slowly toward the mouse. Let's walk together. The moonlight will show us the way to your house. On the way, I'd really like to hear your story. And the elephant said, I can try.
Thank you, Denise. You did a great job dealing with a brand new book whose pages weren't ready to separate. Our Share the Plate partner. Oh, I am maybe supposed to dismiss the children. Sorry, that's new for me. If you are a young person or young at heart or would just like to be in a different space, the service is also being streamed in the fellowship hall, and there are activities laid out with the young folks in mind, especially. If you have a habit of singing people out, the children, y'all should share that with me. I'm caught unawares this morning. Our Share the Plate partner for December is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, Guest at Your Table program. UUSC, as they're known for short, works around the world to advance human rights and social justice, transforming our UU values into action. Greater Nashville UU congregation has a long tradition of celebrating our UUSC guests. The theme of this year's program is Now is the Time for Courageous Change. Last week, we watched a video about the Guest at Your Table program and the 4 guests whose work is being featured this year. We learned about the courageous change that each of our guests is trying to make reality in their own communities with the help from UU Service Committee. In another video, we heard directly from one of the guests, Maina Talia of Kiowa Island, Fiji, who directs the Kiowa Island Community Organization, working to make the island more climate resilient and capable of providing food for all. Today, we will hear from Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn, the president and CEO of the UU Service Committee, and from another one of our 4 guests, Christian Guzman Merlo, a Nicaraguan woman who co-directs UUSC partner Fundación Entre Mujeres, FEM, a farming cooperative that works across 21 communities to promote the economic, political, and social empowerment of women in Nicaragua. I will warn you that her video, which is very brief, is in Spanish, with subtitles, which will be on the screen. If you're in the sanctuary and you need to move over, feel free to do so. If you're at home, get your Spanish ears or your eyes for subtitles ready to go. Please enjoy the videos and please give generously to support UUSC in partnership with our guests. You may donate online via text or by check, following the instructions listed on the screen. We are so grateful for your ongoing generosity.
These last months have highlighted the need for urgent, deep, and lasting systemic change. At UUSC, we believe that the transformational solutions we need, solutions that fundamentally shift us toward a world that prioritizes human rights, thriving communities, and a healthy planet, that these solutions come from grassroots leaders and communities most impacted by injustice. This belief is at the heart of UUSC's work. It fuels our partnership model in which we strive to listen deeply, follow the lead, collaborate with, and resource community organizations on the front lines of advancing change. I'd like to invite you to be part of advancing that change by getting to know some of these partners and joining us for this year's Guest at Your Table, UUSC's longtime annual program and our most significant source of financial support from congregations. Recognizing the enormity of today's human rights challenges and the importance of continuing the momentum for social change, our Guest at Your Table theme for this fall through spring 2022 is "Now is the time for courageous change." Through the stories our featured guests will share, with worship resources, religious education materials, and more, I invite you and your congregation to learn about our partners' priorities and visions for the future, with the goal of supporting this work, joining these partners in solidarity, and together with UUSC, making strides toward a world transformed by justice. Because it's plain that now is the time for transformational, comprehensive, justice-seeking, grassroots-led, courageous change. I hope you will join us.
La Fundación Entre Mujeres es una organización feminista que trabaja con mujeres campesinas de 21 comunidades en el norte de Nicaragua. Es una organización que nace por el empoderamiento integral de las mujeres campesinas y desarrolla estas estrategias de empoderamiento ideológico, económico y organizativo para transformar esas relaciones de poder entre hombres y mujeres, pero también para que las mujeres campesinas puedan avanzar en su empoderamiento, en su autonomía, en sus condiciones, que transformen esas condiciones en las cuales así han sido asignadas por el mismo sistema machista patriarcal.
Thank you to the UUSC for sending us so much new inspiration this season. And I do hope that y'all will perhaps look up Guest at Your Table online and find more information about these people who are working in very difficult situations to find transformation, to find change and create more love and more joy. So today, my message is entitled Blessings in the Dark. And I'm aware it's a very short title, and two of the words, which happen to be the big words in the title, have problems with them. So let's first deal with those problems. First, the word blessing. I suspect that some UUs, not all of us, but some UUs, some of us have a little bit of not sure about the word blessing. And maybe that's because of the contexts in which we have encountered it in the past. I think of people I don't know very well insisting that God bless me. for example. And I would like to invite you into another sense of the word blessing. There's nothing wrong, by the way, with God's blessings. If you understand God in a way that is life-giving and fruitful for you, then by all means, look for God's blessings and look for ways to share God's blessings and express those to other people. But one need not bless people with the idea of a God who is judgmental or difficult, or perhaps even carries childhood trauma with the concept. So blessing, the way I use it, and the way many, many people, including many, many Christians use it, is more of a hoping, a wishing, an expression of what we most want for other people. It's an act of generosity of spirit. It's a giving of, I see you as a person. I see you as a human being, and I hope all good things for you. It's very much like the Buddhist idea, may I be well, may I be whole, may you be well, may all sentient beings be well and at peace. That is a blessing. This is the sense of blessing that I would like us to work with today. It's what we do at weddings. When I officiate weddings, I'm always aware that the most important thing I can do is to gather the best wishes, the blessings of the assembled congregation for this couple whom they know, or they wouldn't be at the wedding, right? And help the couple to experience all the blessings that are there for them at the beginning of a new adventure. So this is the kind of blessing that I'm talking about today. It's our best wishes for ourselves and for each other. Okay, then we get to the dark. I love the dark. I love this time of year. December 21st, which is only 9 days away now, will be the longest night of the year. And that's considered a holy and sacred time in many traditions in the human family. And in many, many spiritual traditions, there are ways of marking or celebrating that time, that winter season shift, the longest night. And it's often cold and it's dark for more hours of that day, for far more hours of that night than it is light in the days on either side of it, right? And after a summer and a back to school season and the holiday rush, getting ready for, there's Halloween and then there's Thanksgiving, and the retailers all think I should be thinking about Christmas around September 30th somehow now. I am ready and longing to sit in the dark, and you may be too. And if you're not longing, I would like you to consider this an invitation to be in the dark. And we have some problems in our culture, specifically about darkness as part of a binary. So there's dark and there's light. And they're separate, they're different, they're opposites, right? And we do lots of binaries. And the problem is that, well, there's two problems I see. At best, that thinking in binaries about everything is problematic because life doesn't actually really fall into binary categories. Over and over, we see that life is lots of things and lots of different levels and varieties of things. The second problem is that at worst, this binary can be destructive. This habit of thinking in binaries can be destructive and oppressive. So for example, in the Christian tradition, light is associated with good and dark often associated with evil. And a lot of things, happiness and sadness, well, we think happiness is to be sought and sadness is to be avoided. And we do this pretty consistently. Everything we have a binary on, I'll bet you can put it on the side of, good and bad, or at least okay and better, right? So that becomes really problematic, and especially when good and evil, good and bad are linked to those binaries, so that everything in the one column is is bad or to be avoided or to be moved away from. And it happens so easily that we do this. We are programmed to think this way. And even beyond that, it makes sense that we would try to do this. And let me tell you how I've made sense of it. I happened upon a while ago a quotation from Pema Chodron, who is an important American Buddhist teacher. And she said this: one of the deepest habitual patterns that we have is the feeling that the present moment is not enough. And that made lots of sense to me. That rang true. I think we do that over and over again. And it's probably lodged somewhere deep in our lizard brain because it probably helps us survive sometimes. to be able to plan into the future, to get, if we're in a dangerous position, to plan a way out of it. We need to be able to move out of the present moment and not just sit there. But it is a really deep habit to believe that the present moment isn't enough. And when we think that, especially when we're in things that are less happy and joyful, when we're in experiences that frighten us or challenge us or that just confuse us, we don't know we look for a way to get out of that. We look to get into joy, into happiness, into peace at least. So we go, and our culture feeds this a lot. So, the current expression of this is on online culture, where you don't have to try very hard to find the list of 8 things you're doing wrong and 10 things to do it better. Or here's 8 things to eat to fix your blood pressure, or things to avoid if you want to lose weight. Or there are lots and lots and lots of subtle and not so subtle messages that we are not right, that the moment we are in, the experience we are having right now, the bodies we move through our lives with are not quite as good as they might be. We should all be going toward this side of I'm using this for good, but it could be this too. We should be trying to get thinner, better, fitter, healthier, whatever, or happier, or more peaceful, or more loving, or more giving. You can generate lots of examples. And at Christmas time, there's an extra pressure because Christmas is supposed to be happy. There are things about Christmas that should make you want to jump for joy, right? And yes, that's good. And I wish that for all of you sometimes, but you can't hold on to that nonstop from September 30th to, I'm going to say January 6th, because I'm a big believer in the 12 days of Christmas that start on Christmas Day, not end. But that's another sermon. And we get lots, you can't do that. You're going to be upset with your partner sometime during the Christmas season. You're probably going to miss the people who are not with you. People who were here last year or the year before and are not now. People who live far away. People, maybe you're having a tiff with somebody, and even though they're in the room, you're not sure, you're not with them in the same way. All of this is a normal part of living. And I think if we hold them and sink into these experiences, we do move to peace and acceptance. But if we feel like we're wrong for feeling that, and this is where I think that binary and all those lists and all that advice about what you can do and how you should fix it and how many different kinds of foods will make you a great human being, we get lost and we feel pressured into believing that we're not okay, that this moment is not valuable because we are here breathing, being together with each other. So what do we do? What do we do with this? And I meant to mention too, I'm talking a lot on the personal level here, but all of this applies on the great big macro level. It applies in communities, large and small, and it applies in the world too. It is easy to read just a little bit of the news headlines and be really aware of everything that is wrong in the, or a lot of things, not everything. I don't encourage you to try to be aware of everything in the world. Even a small bit of it's enough for most of us to handle. But again, we get this message that, oh, we must fix this, and we must fix things. That is true. But the idea that that's something that we're not all so blessed at the same time is really dangerous and very oppressive, and frankly, doesn't, in my opinion, actually get the work done. Shame and guilt and anguish do not motivate people. And so I'm wondering, how could we learn to be more present, to be in the present moment, to be present to ourselves, to be present to each other, to be present to the world? Is there a way to practice that? Well, yes. Yay. Even there are ways. Meditation is one of those. Really, spiritual practice, any kind, whatever you do that calls you back just to where you are, what's around you, to the present moment. Even doing that for just a second at a time, over many repetitions, that changes your ability to remember that the present might be enough. It might be what you have right now, and that might be okay. So we can practice, we're not, some of us are better than others at this practice. As a culture, we do not support this practice. It's sort of something we make people go and figure out on their own. But we, as a spiritual community, as a community of faith, we can be a place where we know that our covenant calls us to practice this together. So we gather for worship. That's a way of saying it's good to be together this morning, regardless of whether the speaker says anything I like. It's good to be together in the room with these people. It's good to join over the internet and see all the faces on the Zoom feed. And later on, you'll see more of those faces on the screen. So this moment is a thing that is precious and holy. And what's really, really interesting to me is that practice is something that we can do anytime, anywhere, no matter what's going on with us. And all we really need is the intention to do it. We can be totally and utterly lost and still practice paying attention. I have another blessing from Jan Richardson. It's entitled Lost Blessing. It doesn't always mean to go astray, but somehow this blessing knew it would find you here in this place where even you don't know where you are. This blessing regrets to say it left its compass at home. It is without map, without GPS. It has hardly any native sense of direction. This blessing appears to be useless, but, and I know this might not be encouraging, it purely loves getting lost. This blessing has learned to breathe when it has left every landmark behind, when it has seen its last signpost, when dark has begun to fall while it is still far from home. This blessing knows the prayers to say when it has misplaced its way, the chants that will help it find the path where it seems no path could ever be. This blessing is good at finding fellow travelers. It loves the company of the lost, the wandering, the confused, the ones who have been walking in circles for days, loves helping them find water, shelter, shade, loves keeping vigil so they can safely rest. The point of this blessing is that it has no real point. It just wants you to know you are not alone, have never been, will never be, that it will go with you, will wander with you as long as you want, as long as it takes, gladly being lost with you until your way appears. when I found that blessing recently, it reminded me a lot of the story we heard. The shadow elephant and the mouse who comes. They helped each other become more present to themselves, to each other. Each of them stayed with their own feelings. There was no fixing involved. No advice was offered. Not even a bunch of questions or trying to figure out what was going on. There was space. I loved that. The pictures in that book, it's lots of open space. They just spent time just sitting. They built trust with each other. So out of that space, into that field of trust, there was a telling of stories, or maybe not. We're not sure the elephant's going to get his story out. We don't even know what the elephant's story is. It's okay. They were together. They shared and expressed, allowed emotions to come out. And that helped. Whatever it was going on with the elephant, it helped to just be with another being. So there was healing. There was recovery of self, recovery of energy, and the agency to do something. The elephant got up and moved. The dessert didn't help. The can didn't help. The jokes didn't help. But a single being fully present, allowed the elephant to move forward towards something new. So it seems to me that this is the gift of presence. This is the blessing of presence, if you will. That it brings a shift. It brings the possibility of transformation and the opening of new possibilities. Perhaps, we don't know for sure, the finding of golden keys. And this is all in the story. And when I read Jan Richardson's blessing alongside this shadow elephant story, it occurs to me, she sort of personifies blessing, but it's really clear in her poems that that blessing is not another person. But in the story of the shadow elephant, it occurs to me the elephant and the mouse are each other's blessings. And I rather love that. I think especially within the context of committed, covenanted communities like ours, we are each other's blessings. I am blessed to be here with you. You are blessed to be here with each other. And so this we can do. We can learn to sit with each other in the joy, in the sorrow, in the dark, in the light. It's all part of life. All of that, all the things that we put in two lists that really don't exist in those two lists. They sort of all exist here. All of that is part of what it is to live as a human being. And we can learn, we can practice to be together, to pay attention, to find the blessings that are always, always waiting for us, no matter how lost we are, no matter how dark it is, or no matter how blindingly light it is. Sometimes the whole Christmas thing feels like a lot of blinding light. Sometimes you walk into some malls and it's like, oh yeah, they should have stopped. But we can, in any of those places and all the other places, we can find those blessings if we can find each other. We can offer those blessings if we are willing to sit quietly with each other sometimes. So I want to leave you with the blessing that you may have noticed in the song that was playing right before we started the service. Okay, so this is the band's name is Mountain City. I know nothing else about them, sorry. But I wish you peace, peace, peace in your Christmas time. Grace for your family and hope in your heart. Peace in your Christmas time. Joy for your family and love in your heart. And I think, Jesse, do we have a slide here, because this is a really big day. We have live music in the sanctuary. And Fran Gabor, our music director, is here, and she will be playing the Wexford Carol for us. So sit and think peaceful thoughts and be here with the music. They lost sound. Oh, the live, oh, oh, yes, thank you for that. Oh, all right. Jesse, can you turn off the live stream, please? Or Karen, back?